Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and today we are looking at this TTi TF930 frequency counter that I recently got off eBay at a very reasonable price. So we're going to be doing some little bit of maintenance and a little bit of cosmetic work on it. See if we can get this beauty back to how it should be. But before we start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group, have a look at my website, all that lot. And now, a quick word from today's video sponsor. PCBWay. PCBWay is a China Shenzhen-based PCB manufacturer and printed board assembler with more than a decade in the field of PCB prototype and fabrication. They offer a wide range of services including 3D printing, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication and much more. PCBWay also offer a prototype PCB assembly service with component sourcing and online quote with 24-hour delivery services. PCBWay is committed to meeting all of your PCB needs. They offer quality, on-time delivery and competitive pricing. 1 to 2 layer boards start at $5 with 24-hour turnaround. Get an instant quote by visiting PCBWay.com or click on the link below to check them out. So here's the eBay listing for this, and as you can see it's a buy it now for £240, but I thought, I'm just going to message the seller with a offer. So I sent him an offer of £200, thinking that, there's no way he would accept this. And sure enough, he did. So I got it for £200. Now it's listed as working, but has some minor cosmetic damages, which is fine, considering this is still a current unit frequency counter. And it's still for sale in some of the big places that sell things like this. So here we have a listing for RS, and as you can see, here is the frequency counter with an RS calibration, £498, including VAT. So even if this frequency counter has got cosmetic issues, I think a saving of £300 is an absolute bargain for a current model frequency counter that's still for sale. So I was very happy with that. And sure enough, a couple of days later, it turned up, and this is what we got. So here's the frequency counter. Now, as you can see, the paint is slightly delaminating from the front decal around the display. But that's not a problem, that's purely cosmetic. The protective film's still over the LCD, that's what that mark is in the middle. But you can see, it's just cosmetic. This is just all cosmetic damage. Now, another thing, I don't know whether this happened in transit or not, but the actual front bezel had a crack in it and was loose. But if that's it, if that's all the problem is, I think a saving of £300 is an absolute bargain. So the frequency counter does work. I have given it a quick test just to make sure. Now this frequency counter does have batteries in it, and a few eagle-eyed people there, it said made in England, which you don't find these days. But anyway, there's the bezel, it just pops off. I did have some tape on it to hold it together. But this is a very, very user serviceable frequency counter. So we need to remove the front bezel so we can take the case off, and once we've got the case off, we can gain access to the batteries. Now to take the case off, we just need to pop these 4 plastic little rivets out, no screws. We'll just literally just pop these little plastic rivets out as such, just prying them up and taking them away, and that will reveal the insides for us. So we'll just take these away and then we'll get inside and have a look. There we go. That's all 4 plastic rivets removed, and we'll lift the lid off. Now I know there doesn't look like there's much in there, but most of the wizardry is done on the front panel, and you may already notice that the middle battery is different. Well, that's because the middle battery was completely dead, and I just wanted to make sure that it was working. There's a shot from the back of the front panel. You can see all its goodness is on there. So the battery does work, but it doesn't last very long. And as you can see from the end battery, it's a bit crusty. So I was happy with that, but then I thought, it's made in England and it's Thirlby Thandar. I wonder if they'll sell me any spare parts for this unit. So I emailed them and asked them if they would, you know, if they would sell spare parts. And sure enough, they got back to me, which I was very surprised. And there you go, there's a quick shot of the counter on, but it doesn't last very long because the batteries are absolutely shot. So their sales team got back to me and said, yep, sure, no problem, here's the full service manual with the calibration details for it, and at the back of it you will find a parts list. Let me know what parts you want and we'll send you a price. So I thought, okay, fair enough, we can do that. So this is a shot from the back of the manual. So without any exploded view or anything, I kind of guessed what the parts would be. So the bezel, yep, no problem. Batteries, yep, they've got that on there. I was going to buy some batteries off eBay, but I thought no, they've got the correct capacity batteries there, so we'll get a price for those as well. And we've got the front panel and the overlay. Now below it says PCB assembly, so I don't think that the front panel is going to be the circuitry. So I think the front panel is going to be the metalwork, and the overlay is obviously going to be the decal. Now if we can get these for a reasonable price, it might just be worthwhile doing this. So I've got to take my hat off to Thirlby Thandar. Absolutely brilliant after sales support and spare parts support, and within a week, well, should we say within 5 days, I had the spare parts. Now I'm not going to tell you the price of the parts. I want you to comment below on how much you think these parts cost and how much you think these parts cost to an end user that isn't a company. Now they didn't ask whether it was a company or anything, and they were super helpful. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. I was absolutely surprised. So literally 3 days later we had the spare parts. So we're going to disassemble the counter. So first off, this plug with its nice retention mechanism and its nice ejection mechanism, and the front panel comes off like so. Nice and easy, and as you can see, that's where the paintwork has come loose, and we'll see later on what the problem was with that. But yeah, all very nice, all very compact. Nice Xilinx goodness there. Lots of other nice chips. LCD driver. So we're going to take the back metalwork off. Now you could probably replace the batteries in situ as in there, but I wanted to take it out anyway. So we will remove the screws that hold the circuit board in. This is just so I can get it into my PCB holder. So we'll take all the screws out, put them to one side, and I'm sure in that parts list this case was available as well if there was anything wrong with the case, but there wasn't. Nothing a little bit of foam cleaner wouldn't clean up. Plus we needed to take the board out to get these cable ties out. So there's our circuit board removed from the unit. There's my dodgy battery installation just to test. There's the crusty one. So we're going to replace all three of them anyway. So first off, we'll cut the cable ties. Just like so. And here's the first of the spare parts from Thirlby Thandar. Like I say, comment below on how much you think all of these spare parts cost, because there are some more coming up very soon. So there's our batteries. Slightly different tags on from the original ones. The original ones the wire goes through. These are just flat tags, but not a problem. We can adapt to fit. But these are the correct capacity batteries. So I think the easiest way to get these old batteries out is just literally cut them out. Just cut the old tags. And we'll tidy up and install the new batteries after that. So we'll just merrily cut these away, and we can dispose of them responsibly after. So, last battery to be removed. You can see the tags are soldered onto small metal wires that actually loop through a hole in the tag. I didn't want to remove those from the board, as we'll be reusing them. So with a pair of tweezers or long nose pliers or something, we can just heat the remains of the tags up, take them out, take them away, and that's that. That one's been a little bit obstinate, but as soon as we get onto the solder, there it is, done. So we'll do the same to the other side. As you can see, nicely tidied up. Now we've got a component there, TH2. I presume that's some form of thermal detection for the batteries. Maybe it'll cut them off if it's charging too hard. There we can see a fuse on the board. Some other little bits and pieces. But yeah, nothing to worry about there. So we've fitted 3 nice new cable ties, and we'll install the batteries, cable tie them in first, and then we will solder them to the tags later. So we're just going to line them up nicely, and we're going to zip the cable ties into place, just like so. And we're going to do the other two. We don't have to worry about shorting them because the polarity is exactly the same each way, so it's all positives facing us, so don't have to worry about short circuits or anything. But you know, we're taking care of it as it should be. So there's our 3 batteries, nicely cable tied into place. Just like so. Just make sure they're tight and jobs are good. So we'll cut off the excess. And then we'll proceed to solder the tags. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the tag around the original wire that the old batteries were connected to, and we're just going to run solder down the middle, and that should be good enough. Plus it makes it a little bit easier if we want to remove them again in a few years' time, should these batteries start to fail or what have you. We can just literally just heat them up and lift them out. So we'll wrap the tags around the metal work, just like so. And there we have it. Very nice. Now with our soldering iron, some nice solder, and I heat it up, run some solder down the centre, and that should be fine. Don't have to go overboard as long as it's connected, as long as the solder goes down the middle. Yep, beautiful. So we'll do that to all the tags. Now the front, as you can see, we have cosmetic issues there. So we're going to pull the knob off and we're going to unscrew the front PCB. Whilst keeping our screws in a safe place. And whilst I'm recording this, there's one hell of a thunderstorm coming over. Not heard any thunder yet, but the radio's crackling away like nobody's business. But as you can see on there, the plastic film over the LCD is still there, so we're going to take that off. And that will make that LCD look like new. And here's our second spare part, the front panel. And sure enough, it's the metalwork. Very nice. Now why did I order this and not just a decal? Well, you'll see later on why I ordered this. And there's our front decal or overlay front panel, as they say. And you can see this one is branded with the new company logo, whereas the old one has just got TTi on it. This new one has got AIM TTi on it. But it's still exactly the same unit. So, as if we were fitting a decal to one of our CB radios, I'm just going to wet the surface first, just so we can align it perfectly and it doesn't stick, or it gives us a few tries, should we say. So we're going to carefully remove the front decal from its backing. Trying not to bend it or damage it in any way. It was a little bit tricky to get off, but eventually we managed to do it. There we go, off it comes. Now here's the fun and games, trying to align it on the front. Because it is very, very sticky, but luckily the wet surface has made it so we can lift it and get it just right. We don't have to worry about it getting right up to the edges because the front, the top and bottom lids cover the edges. So for me it was just a case of looking over it, getting it as lined as best as we could. As you can see, on off, just trying to get it just right. But luckily that liquid does help us. So after numerous attempts at trying to get it down, get it just right, there's a lot of trial and error with this. Getting it held right, looking from the top. Eventually I decide that that's it, that's as good as it's going to get. So we lay it down on the front, just check our alignments, everything's good. And using our squeegee tool, we can squeegee all the liquid out from in between the layers. And there's our nice front. Very, very nice. Ah, that was so satisfying. So that's made the LCD look like new. I've transferred the buttons over, which just literally just drop into place. Now you can see on the old decal that it's actually coming away. And I think it would have been an absolute pain to try and get rid of that old decal that's stuck to the metalwork. So for time saving, I think I did the right thing in getting the front metalwork as well. Like I said before, comment below on how much you think these parts cost. So what have we ordered so far? We've got 3 batteries, a front decal, front metalwork. We're going to give the lid a quick squirt over with some foam cleaner. Very nice. Before we put our front bezel back on, we just need to locate the little plastic rivets, put those back in. So as you can see, very user serviceable, not 10 million screws. And there's our old broken bezel, and of course we're not going to fit that, we're going to fit a brand new bezel, and that just finishes off the job nicely. So there we have our refurbished frequency counter. Now I've got my GPS reference on it. We can have a look how accurate this is. Now they did send me the calibration details for this, so we could calibrate it. It's all done through the front by pressing a sequence. As you can see, we're slightly out, but then again, I think this counter, even though it's still a current model, is a few years old, so it will have drifted a little bit. This should be bang on 10 megahertz. But I'm not going to bother calibrating it because I'm going to be using my GPS reference as an external reference. So it'll be absolutely fine. So there's our counter, looking very nice. So how much do you think I paid for these parts? The front metalwork and the front decal, the front bezel, 3 batteries. I'll leave you to think about that for a sec before we tell you. Obviously the batteries are going to be a little bit more expensive because, you know, batteries and all that. Anyway, here's the prices. So the front panel, £4.35. The overlay, the decal, £4.62. The bezel, £4.14. And the batteries, £5.67 each, totaling £17 and a penny. Total goods value £30.12. £5 carriage, VAT. Total due £42.14. I nearly fell over when they quoted me these prices. I was like, wow. There was no way I expected a big company like that to sell spare parts at such a reasonable price. I just couldn't believe it at all. I mean, who these days sells parts of that quality for that low price? So again, hats off to Thirlby Thandar. Absolutely fantastic support, and the whole process took no more than 5 days from the first email to the parts arriving on my doorstep. Absolutely fantastic. So there's our frequency counter in all its glory, looking like new. Okay, we could calibrate it against my GPS reference, but I'm not going to bother because I'm always going to use my GPS reference with it anyway. And it's working absolutely beautifully. and with the GPS reference in there, in the external reference, it's absolutely bang on. So the counter's got some nice nice features, attenuators, impedance, and up to 3 GHz as well. And to top it all, like I say, it's still a current model, so I think I did well for £200, including the parts as well, and the carriage, and the price to get the counter here. I think all in all, £250, absolute bargain, and what a fine counter it is as well. So I'm going to be using that in the future. I'm very happy with it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video on me refurbishing and fitting some new batteries to my new counter. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. Thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring the video, and we'll see you in the next video.